And especially in South Korea, like StarCraft is kind of like a cult there. So I mean, with that being said, like it's kind of ingrained in me.
Actually, how do you feel about how South Korea approaches esports? Because they're very serious about it. The South Korean government supports their esports team. So what is the culture behind esports in South Korea? Because when we get to last year, we're going to go into esports platforms. But before that, I kind of want to understand your understanding of esports in South Korea.
I think esport in South Korea, oh man, to be honest, even I don't really know why or how big it got.
Yeah.
But I know that esport in Korea began with StarCraft. And I think as it gained traction back in the Brood War days or StarCraft original, it really showed just how big the fan base was because going back to what we talked about, the Korean culture and like the Eastern culture versus the Western culture, it's very rooted in going to school, and afterwards we have things called after schools.
Yep.
And then we would go to those until like say 8 p.m., 9 p.m. or very late at night. And then we would go home or we would go spend our times at PC Bang and we would play with our friends and then we'll go home and things like that. So as that was ingrained in our culture, it became more evident because everyone was playing StarCraft that it became a sport out of it.
Okay.
And once that became a sport, before Activision Blizzard merged together, Blizzard started doing a lot of esport events, and then it just slowly started getting traction. Like before there were K-pop stars, there was esport stars.
Okay.
I'm being serious. Like there's literally like videos and stories of people filling buses with gifts for these esport pros.
Awesome, man. Yeah. All right, so finish up that beer and we're getting to the last beer, which is peanut butter stout. This also is a San Diego beer. It's made in Vista, California. This one is by itself a dessert beer. You always want to drink this one last. You don't want to drink it, early, because after this one, you have the nice sugary taste in your mouth, and this is the one you want to end on. It's a nice 5% beer. Cheers to that.
Cheers. What's cheers and finish?
Kippis.
Kippis.
So you can taste how it's definitely a dessert beer, right?
Wow, that is so sweet.
Yeah, it tastes like coffee. It's literally, it has a nice sugar. You have a peanut butter at the aftertaste, but it tastes like coffee.
It tastes like coffee. I mean, I could taste a little bit of peanut butter, but
yeah, it's the aftertaste. But going off of esports, so what do you think the future of esports really looks like? Because esports itself is growing so much traction in the market, and I don't know if you just saw it, but there was a press release that was just released that Comcast bought out an entire stadium in Philadelphia to provide a esports platform. So for esports tournaments, for esports viewing. So even if Comcast, these top, billion-dollar companies are now getting involved in esports, so what do you think is going to happen with it?
I think the sky's the limit on this because I think esports is such a new genre of sports. Like you can't really imagine like you can't even tell me like when NFL became a thing and like how they started investing and how the investors got into it, But whatever they spent to get into the NFL and create their own teams were probably abysmal, like in the price comparison to what they're probably worth now. You know? So that's why all these big companies and even figures such as, I'm not sure if you guys know, like The Weeknd invested in, I think, Overwatch League. Like, it's insane. Like all these, whether it be artists or previous NBA players or even organizations themselves are investing because it's such a possibility of something greater, and it could turn into something great. So because of that, there's so much chance of possible new frontier that everyone's just rushing to it like a gold mine. Yeah,
no, it's crazy to me because you see these 14-year-olds that are professional esports players and they're making $400,000 a year.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of mad my parents put me into sports. I wish I was playing esports, But at the same time, like even countries are getting involved. Like I brought up South Korea, Finland itself. Like we have a CS:GO training facility for top esports.
You guys are really good at games.
Yeah, like so every country is now getting involved in it. Governments are getting involved into it, and companies are getting involved in it. But what do you think when it comes to actually developing these platforms? Do you think that esports itself is as viable as a professional sport right now? Do you think in the next couple, like let's say 10 years from now, the same amount of viewership in American football and the NFL is going to be the same as the esports?
Yeah, actually, I believe that because I think as younger generations grow up with technology, they're going to be exposed to more of just video games in general on their phones. And with that being said, I think as more people grow up relating to technology, they're going to be more easily accessible to other things. And I think esports is in the center of that technology. With that being said, I just think that the growth that esport has internationally, because knowing how a game works, you don't only need to translate it in other language. That's why soccer, even though it may not be popular in America, it's popular in every international country.
That's why it's called football there, and then here it's soccer,
Because like the rules are pretty simple, and then once like when you play a video game, you probably know the rules. So that's why I think that as we go forward in 10 years, we're gonna probably see esport being a more, to be honest, a bigger cornerstone than probably football or other sports. It might not be big as NFL or NBA or even like other sports like that, but I definitely think that it'll be up there with them as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely do see that in the future. I do see the trend if you look at the growth of esports in general. I mean, nowadays tournaments, I think the top one is Dota. I think this is a $10 million top prize or something like that.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. You think about it. You play in a tournament and the winner gets $1 million per person on the team.
Yeah.
Even NFL players, they don't get that much from winning the Super Bowl. So it is very interesting. Do you personally want to get involved with esports after, like later down the career path?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think it has to do with like the passion that you grew up in. I think the number one rule, or one of the bigger rules of investing, is invest in something that you know. And I think I love esports in general. That's what I grew up with. So if I do get the chance, I would love to invest in a team or create a team myself and then see just where it goes, because to be honest, like that's what I'm passionate about, So even if I lose money on the short run or even the long run, as long as I can continue to support what I'm really passionate about, I think I'm satisfied.